we're back again, and today we're going to take another favorite recipe from the Sisters of Charity recipe book that was compiled in 1983 during the 125th anniversary of the Sisters of Charity of Leavenworth. Today I'm picking caramel popcorn, and this recipe is on page 23 if you have this lovely little homemade book, and it was submitted by Sister Helen Bristow. Sister Helen Bristow is we grew up together. She's in my novitiate, and God rest her soul. She's left us a couple years ago, but she was a great cook and loved making things for sisters. But the recipe that we have today is really in memory of Sister Anne Francis, who years ago lived with Helen, and she used to make this all the time for the sisters, and not only just for the sisters in her own house, but when she made it, she would make an extra bag for the convent next door. So that it's a good recipe. And as I do this today, I've never made just one recipe. I always double it, triple it, and quadruple it because I made a lot. And many times for the sisters in the old days when I was in the kitchen, this was one of their favorite treats, especially like on Halloween, which just passed. So it's a good treat now that the holidays are coming up, and it's a wonderful recipe for any friends or your own self, and you'll see how simple it is to make. And so enjoy it, and let's get started. It requires a cup of butter or margarine, either one, whichever one you have. I turned on this burner a little bit before we got started, so it's warm, and it's gonna melt my butter for me right away. And the butter's soft, so I've had it sitting out. I'm using a very heavy pan, you can see, so that we're making like a caramel, and you want to have a heavy saucepan, and it's a little bit bigger than normal, but you'll see once at the end where we add the baking soda, it puffs up and it reacts with the baking soda, and you'll see that a bigger pan is always kind of nice. Dark carob syrup or light carob syrup, either one works. I like the dark because it makes it a little bit more caramely. And then it takes 2 cups of brown sugar, and make sure it's packed, heavy packed brown sugar. And the other part that we're going to add in there is I have to make sure, sugar, syrup, and salt. And this requires a half a cup or a teaspoon of salt. Okay, there we go. Now we're ready. And what we're going to do is you can just kind of look in this little pot. I kind of have it on a medium heat, not too hot, not too cold, and everything is going to melt together. And we're going to stir this until it comes to a boil. What I want to tell you now is that while this is getting started, popcorn. It calls for about 6 quarts. I made this yesterday, and I put it in my popcorn can just because it's good it's a good measure. And it takes about, this one of these little pans full is about 6 quarts, so that's kind of how I measure it. And I'm going to put this in the oven to get it warm while we're just waiting, and the oven is set at 250 degrees. The nice thing about this recipe is that once you cook the syrup, if you make the popcorn the day before, it really goes fast. And you cook the syrup, apply it to the popcorn, and then it bakes in the oven for about an hour. And about every 15 minutes, you just turn it around so it gets coated, and that's what coats the popcorn. Plus, it also helps make that caramel. And one of the nice things about this recipe is that it's not sticky. It makes a real hard surface on the popcorn and crackly. So the sisters liked it because it didn't pull their teeth out. It's like caramel. And they always liked it because it was nice and crackly. So we're going to let this go. We want it to come to a hard boil. Doesn't take too long because it's sugar and syrup and butter, and really what this is caramel. It's the same recipe that you would use if you were making caramels. You just stop it at a different state. And we're going to turn the burner off, and I'm just going to show you that you can check this if you're kind of skeptical. This is cold water. You just dribble a little bit of the syrup in the cold water, and also if it's done, you'll see a thread forming as you pour the syrup off of your spoon. And if you touch this, it's hard as a rock. That's the hard crack stage. Okay, now we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla, which is going to sizzle a little bit with this water, and a half a teaspoon of soda. And if you look at this mixture, you're going to see what happens when you put the soda in. It bubbles up, and if this were a smaller pan, you could see it gets real white, and you think, oh dang, what happened to my syrup? But that's what really reacts with the sugar and makes the caramel. Now it's going to go in the oven at 250, and we're going to let it sit about every 15 minutes. I'm going to come and just turn it over, and that just helps coat the popcorn a little bit more, the best you can. Working with the popcorn for about the last 45 minutes to an hour, and about every 15 minutes I turn it over in the pan, and you can kind of tell when it's getting to be ready. This is kind of my taste test, is that I take just a couple kernels and put them out on the counter, and if I hear them crack when I drop it, I know that it's pretty close to done. So what you're going to do now that the popcorn is done, just turn it out on the counter. Just kind of flop it over on your kitchen counter or wherever you have a big enough space. And oh boy, a lovely caramel in there. And get all the goodie out you can. And then, what I do is just take my hand, it's not really hot, it's just warm, and kind of just break up the clumps. And what you're going to do, this dries in about 2 minutes, so it doesn't take very long. You can break it up into little clumps, and it crackles nice for you. And it seems like it makes when you look at it, when we were making it, it didn't seem like very much, but when you look at it when it's done, it's like, whoa. And sometimes when it stays in clumps, it's a little bit chewy, but when that sugar dries, it gets real crackly. So there we have it. One batch of caramel popcorn. And you know, I would be remiss not to say that we're celebrating something special in Kansas City. So if you're having a Royals party or anything else, this is the perfect treat to fix up in a hurry to have a great party at your house. So let's go Royals. Thank you, and enjoy your corn.